Arsenal players have said that they think Bukayo Saka is being unfairly targeted by opposition players, trying to foul him, stop him from playing, and they're not getting booked for it either. But is there any truth to this theory? Well, if we look at the actual numbers, we see that Saka isn't actually even fouled as much as maybe some people think. We know Aston Villa had some heavy challenges on him. We know Man City, Bernardo Silva in particular, trying to take him out of the game because he's very good. We know that. He's an amazing player. But look, fouls 1 per 90, he's about 9th. Last season, he's about the same. And if you go over here, it's about the same. And then this is the season that he started playing for Arsenal. Now we look at compared to all other players in the Premier League, this is since 21-22, nothing special. So when you look at the actual numbers, there's no data that shows that he's actually being fouled that much and that he should be getting way more yellow cards given against him. Because there's numbers, my friend Sam Dean, very good writer in the Telegraph, he worked out that players aren't being booked as much for fouling Saka as they are other players, that's what you see. And we know he'd get targeted because he's got 9 goals, 8 assists, most dribbles, and also he's amazing, that's what you get. And you're gonna get more fouls against you as a winger because you're running with the ball. It's far easier to tackle someone if they're running at you, trying to go past you like this, because if you're passing the ball around, then it's very hard to get close enough to tackle them before they pass the ball. Weirdly though, Martinelli's nowhere near the number that Saka has, so there must be a difference in how they do things. And there is, and it's to do with their different skill set and their physique. Now, Saka is incredibly strong, you don't even know it, really well balanced with his strength, and deceptively quick, and he combines that with incredible first touch and close control to draw defenders out to draw these fouls. That's what he's doing. But he also is so strong, he can then ride the challenge and keep going. If he receives the ball from here in a wide area, this is where he tends to receive the ball, we know that. The ball will come in, he will be facing the defender back to goal, knowing that the defender will get tight. Now he'll do one of 2 things in this situation. When the ball goes tight to Saka like this here, the defender might get tight, and if he gets really tight, what Saka will do will be so strong, does this all the time, he'll hold him off, tip him to one side so he can then spin round. If he can do that, that's bad for the defender who will then try and foul him. That's where a lot of fouls come from. There's an awful lot. I went through all his fouls on my scout. Another thing he'll do is if the ball comes into him, say Odegaard passes to him. Again, he'll be looking at Odegaard here, knowing that the defender might come close to him, wants to get really tight. So then when the ball comes into him, he might take a clever touch with his right foot to sort of draw a defender in, but then slow them down so he can then push off again. It's all about going slow then fast, because that's a way to dribble past people. It's not all about step overs and doing flicks and tricks. It's about movement and throwing players off balance. And that's what Saka does. And then when they try and get close to him, he's so strong that he holds them off, but he keeps riding challenges and getting away from people who then don't end up getting booked because he can get away with the play. And the whole thing that was refereeing this season, they want to be more physical, and so if you can make the game more physical without it being dangerous, that's what they want to do. Saka makes it look not dangerous. Certain players, like for instance Jack Grealish or Wilfried Zaha, as soon as the player gets tight to him, they go down and win a free kick. But the difference is, if you have a player pulled out of position here and they win a free kick, then straight away they go back into their defensive shape, everything's all structured, and then it's harder to score. But if players are out of position and they're trying to get close to this guy, you can spin them, suddenly you've got a massive advantage. You might have a 3v2, you might have a 3v3, rather than having a set piece where the team is in their defensive structure. So against Aston Villa, he thought they had loads of fouls against Arsenal. He only got fouled 3 times against them, but here you go. Here's Coutinho trying to get round to Saka. He receives the ball, one touch on his right foot. I think it's deliberate. He pushes it away from the defender who's coming in, because then he knows that the player will have to follow him out, which gives him room to spin to the next bit of the puzzle. Coutinho gets round to him, and this is where Saka's strength comes in that you don't really know he's got. He's so strong that he just holds him off, and Coutinho literally cannot get round him. He can't get round. If he tries to step off to get round him, he'll just spin away. So he's tight on him, can't let him go because that's bad. Imagine you're trying to get your leg round like that. You can't do it, right? And then, of course, he brings him down. He's off balance because Saka's so strong holding him up that they go down. It looks bad, and Saka doesn't like this one. He didn't enjoy that challenge. That's when he got all fired up and pushed back to them. But they're doing the same thing during the game. Here he is, the ball's pushed back to him, and he uses his back as part of his weaponry. So the ball comes to him, Alex Merino pushes out from left back to get tight. You want to get really tight and stop him being able to turn, but Saka just turns his back, levers him round, he can't get round, and away Saka goes. That's what he does, but it's actually a foul this time. That's what happens. When he does get away, when he can receive the ball and get like heads up and looking at the defender, that's when he's able to get away and not get fouled. And there's an example here where the defender looks like he absolutely wipes Saka out, and he does, but it's because Saka has done him with skill. Runs towards him, gets really close, defender's not sure which way he's going to go. Against Man United, he'll have been told he goes outside and shoots, so he's got to make sure his weight's this way, but Saka's looking to try and drop a shoulder and go inside. The defender's read it really well. He's gone for a double touch, a croqueta, the Iniesta touch, where you take one on your left, onto your right, so you can go past him. and he's read it, and the defender's put his left leg out to stop it. That's a wise decision to make, but it's a cunning ruse, it's a disguise. Saka doesn't take the touch, he lets the ball keep running, and he pushes it through the guy's legs for a croqueta nutmeg. It's an amazing bit of skill. This guy couldn't possibly have seen it coming, because no one could have seen it coming. It's brilliant. And so he fouls him. It looks awful. That's a bad foul. It looks like Saka's been really harshly treated here, but Saka's drawn that hard foul by being so smart with his tackling. It's kind of a weird one. Here's Bernardo Silva, right? And you've got to think of the context of why you're not getting booked for these, and whether it's really dangerous or not. Now, so early in the game that there's not even a time clock. A time clock, also known as a clock, in the top of this. And so the ball comes in to Saka in his favourite position. Bernardo Silva has to push out. That's the left back's job. Saka knows. He takes a touch on his right foot, because that slows it down, because then Bernardo Silva will have to stop to slow down so he doesn't speed past him like a cartoon. And so as he slows down, that's when Saka goes, and that takes him away around from Bernardo Silva, who's not a left back. Silva's been beaten. That's really bad. Look at the defensive shape. Real trouble here. Silva has got to take him down and foul, and that's what happens there. And that's so early in the game. The referee doesn't want to give a yellow card for that. You just don't do that. Some referees have done in the past, but it doesn't really happen, you know? Now, you look here. Here is Bernardo Silva pushed out again. Similar situation. Bernardo Silva gets sort of tight. He knows he doesn't want to get too tight, because if he does, he'll get turned. He knows he can't get round him because he's too strong. Saka wants to lead him in, and he goes and gets all the way round. Now, Bernardo Silva follows him inside, leaves a massive gap, takes him out to avoid this. It's maybe a tactical foul or just a bad bit of play. And that's the kind of mess. But again, you can see the structure. Arsenal have players ready to go. And then the final one here, this is the example of Saka being so strong that you can't even bring him down, and why he doesn't go down as much as I think other players do. Now, most wingers, Zaha, Grealish, they go down here every single time. They go down, they don't ride the challenge, they go down. But the thing is, if you go down, then everything resets. You have to take a free kick, and then everyone can get back into their defensive shape, and it's a lot harder to create chances. So what Saka wants to do is ride the challenge, because if he can get round this guy, if he can shift him onto the wrong side, he can get round. Suddenly you've got players to move into space, all the sort of fun they can have in this situation, which you wouldn't get if they're in a defensive structure from a free kick. So defenders often want to give a free kick because it breaks up the play. That's what they want to do. Saka doesn't want to allow it. It's an attacking weapon that he's got. So here he is. Ake is tight to him, so tight he's basically on him. And Ake's a strong lad, by the way. So Saka can then hold him off, keeps going. He's trying to pull him down. This is how strong he is. He's pulling him down. Saka just keeps going, doesn't go down to let the reset, keeps going, keeps going. He's all over him. It's not even a yellow card. Why would you want to give a yellow card here? It's the physical part of the game. They're trying to make the game more physical, trying to let more things ride. That's what the referees are trying to do this season, isn't it? And so this is just like an elite part of the physical part of the game. If it was Grealish or Zaha, I strongly suspect they would just go down straight away, win a free kick, but then you don't get a chance to play with it. It looks more fun, and it looks like Saka's been treated really harshly. If he started going down, he'd get more fouls, he'd be way up that chart, I'd think, and there'd be more yellow cards given to opponents, but you wouldn't then also get that little opportunity to maybe take advantage of a little lapse in defensive structure that you could if you had a free kick. So that's, I think, probably why it seems like Saka's been treated harshly. It's not that the fouls going into him are absolutely wild, it's that defending players literally cannot get round him. He's too strong, he's too good at it, and so they're doing things that look, what is the word? Bad. And so that is what's happening to Bukayo Saka. He's an amazing player. We say most dribbles attempted, most dribbles completed in the league so far this season, 9 goals, 8 assists. No wonder they're targeting him, but referees maybe should just look for opportunities to give yellow cards when players haven't gone to ground, and that would make everyone happier, wouldn't it? Or would it? Because then play would be stopped. It's a conundrum no one can solve, and that's Bukayo Saka.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.